That's all right, right?
Love this music. Not quite songs of Thing FC.
Good morning, Ian Morrish.
Good morning, Mike Beattie. How are you?
It's really good to see you. A while back, I was sitting there and I was thinking, right, I'm gonna start this Legends podcasting, and I'm sort of thinking about who I could bring on and interview, and I've got to say, your name was up there from the start.
Yeah, but I'm really humbled by. I'm embarrassed by that. Really,
no, don't be. well, hopefully during this conversation, we'll work out why I was so keen to get you on. But
I'm intrigued.
No, I'm honoured. I'm honoured to have you on. We've been friends for quite a while, right? I was thinking about it the other day. Is it 30?
Must be 30 years.
Yeah.
25, 20, 28, 30 years. Yeah.
Wow.
Long time.
I was at Audiophile. And then I left there to go and sell Welsh whiskey, and then I went on to
M&K.
Yeah, Gecko, and I think that's where I first met you, wasn't it?
Yeah,
when I was with Rob over at Gecko.
That's right.
And I do remember just a very quick story to get us started. We all know that advertising person in the industry that would call you up and you know, you want to try and place an advert, and you'd go, do you know what? You think, I want to get rid of this guy. So you go, I'm really busy at the moment. And so I would say to you, I'm really busy at the moment, Ian. I'm really sorry, I can't. And then you'd say to me, so that's fine. It's fine. When would you like me to call you back? So I was like, Tuesday. How about Tuesday?
2 o'clock.
Now, often when I'd use that line, get rid of him for months.
Not
Wouldn't
me.
see him again.
No.
Not you.
No.
Tuesday, 2 o'clock.
2 o'clock, I'll call you. Well, there was a label that Jerry Lewin from Audio T, who I worked with for a long time, gave me, and he said, Ian, you're the most professional Rottweiler I know in the industry.
Yeah, definitely.
And I thought that was fabulous.
Yeah,
I lived that to this day.
Yeah, you really were good. Really good. I learned a lot from you. It was,
gosh, that's sweet.
No, I really did, because it was just a really kind of, there was nothing aggressive about it at all. It was all very, and you know, that beautiful voice that you have, and hi Mike, you know, really calm, and you'd go, oh hi Ian, you know, oh no, he's going to sell me something, and we weren't big on spending money at the time, you know, on advertising and things, but you managed to get that money from us.
Well, hopefully I've got a few quid out of you every now and then.
No, you were great.
And 30 years later, I'm still trying to do it.
That's right, exactly. Even more successful. So tell us about the history of Ian, because I think it would be interesting for people watching on. Did you start there? Is that where you started out? 30 years ago, you was probably only about 11, so just...
Well, funny enough, 30 years ago, I was 28. I know you wouldn't believe it. I started actually years and years ago working in sort of cooperative advertising, which was an area whereby you produce a brochure and you ask lots of manufacturers and suppliers to support. And I started in the golf industry because I had a passion for golf. Then, as my golf game got worse, I decided to turn my back on golf, and hi-fi came into play with lots of brands who I know supported retailer publications and so on. I thought, well, that's an opportunity. So that's really how I got into it. And I started working for the likes of Practical Hi-Fi, Rayleigh Hi-Fi, a little bit with Seven Oaks, but started working with Jerry Lewin and...
Tony Revell,
thank you. I'm so sorry, Tony, if you listen to this. Gosh,
but that's what happens, right? When you get to mid-50s, it's
I know the brain starts to retire itself. Yeah. So Tony and Jerry, and we started working on something called Music at Home with Philippa and Malcolm Stewart from Graphics, and that became really, really popular. But of course, as you're going back to my sales style, you know, if you're really nice to people and really courteous, and you know you've got the strength of Audio T and Audio Excellence behind you, you sort of know you're going to get people eventually. So there's no point in annoying them by being pushy and so on.
Yeah.
So I will call you back to Tuesday at 2 o'clock. And then I'll call you back a week on Wednesday at 3:30.
Yeah.
And eventually you know you're going to get them, or you think you do.
I think the record for me was I put you off about 4 or 5 times, and then you just end up saying, okay, I give in. Take my money.
Well, I think that's how my reputation's developed now. Is if Ian rings hangs you, he will get you eventually. So just give him something and he'll go away till the next thing he's got.
Exactly.
And I use that sort of tongue in cheek.
Yeah.
But so yes, those sort of cooperative advertising publications, sort of retailer brochures, and they became really popular for a time, actually. And of course, the internet then took over and so on. From there, I part-owned a magazine called the British Audio Journal, and that, I don't forget how long that lasted, 3, 4, 5 years, whichever.
That was Malcolm and Philippa, right?
Malcolm and Philippa Stewart, and we were in sort of business together. And we also then landed the contract to work with Cedia for their show guide and their seminar guide. And a sort of few years into that, I then got further involved with Cedia. Malcolm and Philippa and I sort of drifted, and I think the BAJ closed down. And I worked with Simon Spears and Wendy Griffiths from Cedia on their show guide, but then also to help selling the exhibition space at their trade show in Brighton and then Birmingham, at the ICC, and then at Excel. Yeah. So that was great, and that really got me into, I think, what I'm doing now, the residential AV world. Yeah. So Cedia, and then from Cedia, I had a contract there for about 9 years working with them on the show and the seminar guides and so on, developed the sponsor options at the show and so on. Then I was contacted by ISE. I was asked in 2005 to join as sales director for ISE. Mr. Blackman put my name out to various people, and Crestron and Middle Atlantic and all sorts of brands said, Ian Morrish is the guy. Yeah. My reputation preceded me from the Audio Tea days.
Really, it was a perfect gig for you, wasn't it?
It was a great gig. Yeah. It really was a great gig. Yeah. And I think I was, without sounding arrogant, I think I was the right person for it. Certainly to cover Northern Europe. Yeah. But I couldn't join in 2005 because I still had the contract with Cedia. Yeah. And it wasn't right for ISE to be seen to be poaching the Cedia sales guy. I didn't think, and we all agreed that was the case. And Cedia hadn't signed the ownership contract by this time either, I believe. So anyway, 2 years later, the gig with Cedia was coming to an end. And I contacted Mr. Blackman. We met at Heathrow Airport, had a 40-minute chat in in one of the cafes there. That was it. I was taken on by ISE. Yeah. And
what size was it then when you took the job?
In 2007, I think we had 6 or 7 full-time staff.
Right.
I joined in the same day as Dan Goldstein.
Yeah, I remember Dan.
That's right. Yeah. So Mike secured the English duo of Dan and Ian, and reported it as such. And I lasted until 2020. Wow. So I had 13 years there. And I'd like to think helped build the show, professionally.
Where was it when you took over?
It was Amsterdam.
It was.
So 2004 was Amsterdam, 5 Brussels, and then 6 until 19 was Amsterdam. Yeah. And then, of course, now Barcelona. Yeah. So, I've flown in and out of Amsterdam probably 50 or 60 times with my work at ISE. And it was a fab gig. We had a great team, say 6 or 7. We all got on fabulously, and we had a fabulous time. Of course, it changed as more people get on board, and I think there's now 35 full-time staff, because, of course, the dynamic changes. And for me, that was one of the reasons why I felt in 2020 that it was time for me to move on. I'd achieved so much at ISE. I think the relationships I'd had and the impact I'd had on the show was really strong, but there wasn't much more I could do. Except just churn. Yeah,
but in the background, whilst working for ISE, you were putting together for cinema, right?
Correct. In 2009, I was doing all right at ISE, and I was feeling good about myself, and I wanted to give a bit back. So in 2009, I watched a program called, and everyone's heard this a million times, I'm sure, a program called The Secret Millionaire, which was about a scrap metal.
I love that program.
It's a fab program.
Yeah, it really is.
Well, Gary Eastwood, who was a strapping scrap metal merchant from Essex, was up in Blackpool seeing various people there. There was a drug addict. There was a bunch of other people. I mean, he also went to a place called Donna's Dream House in Blackpool, which was, the term then was a holiday home for terminally ill children. Yeah. The phrase now is short-lived. And I watched the programme. Caroline, my wife, was pregnant with our first baby, and it moved me. And I sat there with tears in my eyes, as we do. You've got a heart, you do these kind of things. And I wanted to donate some money. So I phoned up. I thought, actually, I can do more than donate. Could we help with maybe some AV kit, which like a TV and some speakers? Yeah. I'm not very, and everyone knows I am non-technical, so I didn't really know what I was offering. Go forward 14 months, we opened up our first cinema room with the support of the industry. So we begged, borrowed and stole all the kit. We had an installer locally who installed it free of charge. And there's one very defining moment at the opening, and it's a long answer, but I'll close it up. I was watching SpongeBob SquarePants,
as you do,
as I did regularly then, and still do, on a super sort of £25,000 system, and there were two little girls cuddled up watching this. One of them I knew was in trouble. She's no longer with us, and I absolutely broke down and walked out. And I thought, holy moly, if we as an industry can make this difference, just that it hits me that hard, should try and do this again. And I sort of knew the history of the benefit of the cinema room in Donald's Dream House. So that's how it started. That was my emotional drive, and it was a bit of a sort of personal crusade type thing. Well, let's do this, and I can make this happen. My gosh, over the years, it's become a we thing. This is now a proper industry engaged, held, cradled movement, and I'm staggered. I think that's
you should be so proud of what it is that you've done. I mean, I don't know the numbers. Perhaps you'd be able to let us know how many cinemas that you've managed to now.
Well, as of now, January 2024, we've installed 42 rooms.
Wow.
Value, had they been paid for, about 1,060,000. That
you've spoken to me a number of times about the dinner that you're putting together to celebrate £1 million worth of installs. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, I just felt that having an industry having got together to make this happen, we should celebrate it. It's a big time achievement by us all. So Thursday, May the 16th, at Epsom Downs Racecourse, we're holding a dinner where we have a special guest singing, I won't say who, and we have 350 people from the industry. Well, I hope we have about 290 committed so far, so we have 60 tickets left.
Impressive.
350 people sitting down, having a dinner. There'll be a video about our history. There'll be one or two people standing up to speak from various venues and so on. And then it's just a networking event. There'll be music, there'll be an auction and so on. But it's not really designed as a fundraiser. It really is you guys out in the audience, sitting down there, having dinner tonight, have made this happen.
Yeah.
And I think that should be celebrated. And I think it's typified by the fact that, we very quickly sold 260 tickets. Very quickly. We haven't gone out to mass market yet.
Yeah.
But basically we have 60 tickets available. If anybody would like to join us on the night at Epsom Racecourse, May the 16th, the tickets are £145 each, and that will include a great night, dinner, lots of wine, and I think a proper, quite an emotional evening.
Oh, brilliant. We'll make sure that we plug that heavily for you, because it deserves to be full to the rafters. We need as many people there to celebrate what it is that we've all done as an industry.
Absolutely.
So it's sounds like it's going to be a great night.
It'll be a great night. It really will. We're working hard on it.
Excellent. Well done. So the other thing I wanted to talk to you about just very quickly was an idea that you run past me a little while ago, which I thought was amazing, which was repurposing used audio equipment, AV equipment, to put back into care homes, etc. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, it's something that we've been doing for the last sort of 5 years, where somebody says to me, hello, I've got these speakers, or I've got this projector and so on. And then, I can place that. So we've placed, I would guess, 60 or 70 individual products at children's hospices, care centres, and so on. But basically taking second-hand, restock, discontinued stock, and which gathers dust, and eventually, as you know, Mike, you want to get rid of it. And you very kindly gave me a couple of chairs recently for one of the installs, and that was repurposed stock. So is to take that product and have some kind of structured process whereby we don't know how it's going to happen yet, but we become the conduit for the industry to good causes for this kit that either could get landfilled, it would just gather dust, or get sold on eBay for 20 quid or whatever it is. let's repurpose it properly. So it's not terribly technical, but basically creating a spreadsheet that you would go in Mike Beattie from Pulse Cinemas and enter your 7 products. We need to know all of the columns and all of the info we need, and then that the link to that spreadsheet is then sent to the good causes to say, guys, fill your boots, have whatever you like, but contact directly Mike Beattie at Pulse.
Yeah.
We don't want to become administrators of all the product. So as long as we can get the legals right, we can get the warranty situation, we can make sure we're all insured, etc., etc., etc. There is a way. There is something here that we're going to look at. And that'll be after the dinner in May. Once that's done, after that, there'll be focus on trying to get this to some kind of sort of almost prototype by the end of the year, so that we can then shape it and actually get it out there and start shifting some stock for everybody.
Wonderful idea. I think that's going to be groundbreaking, that one. I really
think it's
like
great.
it. Yeah,
it's
really
great.
like that.
It's not recycling, it's repurposing. Yeah. So I think it saves recycling.
Definitely.
So fingers crossed that goes well.
When you talk about all of these ideas, I think CDS should offer you some kind of lifetime achievement award or something, right? Oh no, you've already got one of those.
No, they very kindly gave me a special recognition in 2017.
Special recognition. That was it. And you so
lovely.
deserved that. That was a wonderful time sitting and watching you going to collect that. So well done on that award. That was much deserved. Really hope that sometimes I sort of go to folks' homes that are beautiful, and I sort of look out and there's an amazing view, and I say, do you ever sort of wake up in the morning and take this for granted, or are you grateful for what I'm looking at? As you should be, and often they'll say, no, I'm really grateful for what it is that every morning we wake up and we're really grateful for this. Do you realise every time you put a cinema in, do you still get that same feeling as you got on the first one, or has it become a little bit blasé?
I don't think it never becomes blasé, because the impact of what you're doing is still the same, and it changes so many people's lives. When I started, I had no comprehension of the impact and the importance of what we as an industry are giving to the community. Every new cinema room that gets installed, whether it's a £10,000 simple cinema, or it's a £90,000 massively impressive, comprehensive, technically brilliant cinema room, the impact is massive for the families, for the children, to bring the families together in a safe place. Yeah. So let's say a children's hospice, to bring the families together with the carers, with the family, with the siblings, maybe with some friends of the child that's in trouble, is amazing, because they can't go to a normal cinema room. The family can't relax. Yeah. So here we are, we're bringing this into that safe space where everybody can relax, and if anything happens, the care team are on hand. The child can behave in whatever way they choose. If they're severely autistic, they can shout and scream. It's all okay. So we bring that cinema, and there is a thing called cinema therapy. Would you believe it's an American phrase, I believe. But cinema therapy is so important. We all understand it in our industry, but I don't think generally it is understood. But to have that 2 hours of just cradling an individual, a group within a story, the word we use, immersive, lighting, big screen, super audio. It's really special, really special, and it's made a big difference.
Watched from afar, and been so impressed with the way the industry has just embraced the idea. And I know that we spoke very early on when you were sort of in a place that you knew you wanted to make a change, and you were looking at other options, and you had sort of another company that you were due to go and work with after ISE. Yeah. But I think your dream was always to do something with Together for Cinema, and I know in the conversations that we had, you couldn't quite get your head round how this could possibly work, because how could you give all your time to this? If you was a rich man, then absolutely you would do it free of charge, but you needed some income to pay the bills, right?
Yeah, I was really never ever comfortable. I mean, doing this for 12 years. Without a penny ever changing hands from 2009. So 2009 to 2021. Not a penny changed hands. Yeah. And we got 26, 27 installs done by that time and so on. That was great. And that was lovely. But I was never comfortable thinking that I could earn money, a living. So it sounds a bit mercenary saying money.
Well, it doesn't at all. But industry came to you with the idea of you doing exactly that, because they wanted it to continue, right?
And when that came to me, it was like, okay, maybe I can do this, and maybe it's okay. And the bottom line was this would have all stopped. Bear in mind, I left ISC in 2020. COVID hit. I had a job lined up, which didn't happen. I was going to join KNX in a global role. We had the contracts. It didn't happen. It got delayed and delayed and delayed. I had 4 other job offers, none of which I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And I was just having time out thinking, well, what am I going to do now? I'm 55 years old. What am I going to do? And it was actually one of the, I'll mention a company name. It was Monitor Audio who came to me first. And I'm loath to mention company names because I'll always forget others. But Monitor Audio were the very first company to come to me and say, hello, we will sponsor you. Yeah. We'll put a certain amount of money in the pot. We'll look at other sponsors for you. We'll help you make this happen. It has to continue. And when that happened, it was like, okay, there is the engagement. I then spoke to another couple of companies, yourselves probably as well, Mike. And it was, absolutely, we'll help you make this happen. Yeah. But you've got to put a little bit of money from a lot of people. But with the contacts I had through ISC, CDO, and 30 odd years in the industry at the time, I felt I could make it happen. People didn't think I could. Yeah. And that sounds a bit arrogant. But within 12 months, we had a good amount of money. We had enough that could cover the whole operation, cover the accounting fees, it could cover the marketing fees, cover the plaques that we have, and all of these had a wage for me and so on. And that was like, okay, this is now properly happening. The industry is probably over 100 companies that are now partners in some form with Together for Cinema. And we're a financial partner, be it an installation partner, be it a product partner, be it a media partner, an operational partner. We get so much assistance to help make this happen. And quite right, the end results are incredible.
Yeah. No, really that's wow. I mean, that's just
good, isn't it?
It really is good. Yeah, it really is good. Yeah, you should be super proud about what it is that you're achieving. And I know that you've got big dreams to make this even bigger, to get more partners on board. Yeah. And from the day I met you, I knew you were one of the good guys. I knew you were dangerous because you were too good at selling, but I knew you were one of the good guys. And it couldn't have happened to a nicer guy. You're going to look back in years to come, I know, and think, wow, I did that.
I think I will. It's funny, and we've spoken about this before, but people say to me, "Oh, you must go home on a Friday night or whatever it is," and think, "Well, isn't that great? Aren't you? Haven't you done a great thing?" No, not yet, because it's like when I was selling exhibition space. You have a target. We had 6,000 meters left to sell. Once you sold that, it's done. It was churning the business, and this is exactly the same. I'm churning another installation, but to get to that installation, I need to find an installer. I need to find the product. I need to secure the revenue from the industry to man. It's all churning the business, and until I stop churning, I don't think I'll sit back and go, actually, Ian, you've done quite a good thing there. Yeah. What a nice. I will then think, what a great legacy to leave, and how good it's been to see an industry come together, brand agnostic, and back something that I initiated and have had so much help along the way. But I don't think I'll feel that way until I sit down in my chair and wonder if I'm going up or down, and have a glass of whiskey and think, I had a decent career there.
Definitely. Excuse my ignorance, but how many hospices are there that you could potentially help?
There are 54 children's hospices in the UK. Yeah. But beyond that, there's, of course, a lot of adult hospices. And we've just started installing one or two of those. Again, the theory is the same. Even if it's a young person or an old person dying, they both have families. And an elderly person has grandchildren, has children, to bring in that family together to share the cinema experience makes perfect sense. Initially, I was like, no, we don't want to do adult hospices. Absolutely, of course we do. Yeah. Because the difference we make is huge. So 54 children's hospices, but there are so many adult hospices, other care centres, respite care centres for children, disabled children, autistic children, etc., etc., etc. And the more contacts I put out there, and the more I investigate the world, as it were, the UK, or ask people to say, well, if you know of somewhere, let me know. So many other venues come forward that are so worthy of what we do. Some are not suitable. There are one or two sort of like youth centres and whatever, which are probably not secure enough to put a 25 grand system in.
Sure.
But the monitored, supervised, secure care centres are certainly suitable.
No, that's,
and there are lots of them.
Yeah, that's
So
amazing.
the work will continue.
Yeah, I wanted to quickly talk about some of the ways that folk have managed to raise funds for Together for Cinema, and there's companies just giving a sponsorship every year, and there's some that come up with some extraordinary ways of bringing money to the pot.
Yeah.
Tell us about our favourite.
Well, I would just say, you said sponsorship. The HMRC don't like me saying sponsorship. Partnerships. Exactly.
Partnerships.
Donations and charitable donations and partnerships.
Yeah, partnerships.
But it seems that a lot of our fund, we don't do a lot of fundraising actually, but 2 years ago, one particular individual said to me that I'd like to do something for Together for Cinema. It's Chris Pinder from 1AV and HD Connectivity.
Yeah.
It's a very funny story. He said to me, I'd like to do something. And I'm like, okay, well, I want to run the Marathon de Sable. I'm like, oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, nice.
Not quite knowing what that was, right?
No idea what it was. Absolutely no idea. No idea what it was or what it entailed.
Yeah.
So I said, oh, that's great. He said, it's running 5 marathons in 6 days in the desert, the Sahara Desert. I said, oh, okay, good. Well, I'll tell you what I do, Chris, that'd be nice if you do that. Thank you. What are you looking to raise? Well, I'd like to raise like 25,000. I said, well, geez, okay. Maybe more, he said. I said, okay, great. And I thought, yeah, all right. Well, we'll go along with this. If he gets a couple of thousand, that'd be handy for the pot. So I said to him as well, I said, Chris, well, what I'll do, I'll fly over with you, and I'll be your man that goes from hotel to hotel, and we can have a chat at the end of the day. We can do some podcasts or whatever, interviews and so on. Really didn't understand what I was talking about. And cut a long story short, Chris raised £46,000 for us, which was incredible.
Well done, Chris.
He ran his Marathon de Sable, 1,000 people. He came, I think, 110th or something, which was phenomenal. He'd never run a marathon before. Incredible what he did, and extreme. I didn't fly over and go from hotel to hotel because I didn't like sleeping in the sand in tents. Because that's basically what it was. I mean, it was proper hardcore.
Yeah.
He trained for a year for it, and he has changed. He's changed the future of Together for Cinema. He's also become one of our directors. Yeah. Along with Melanie Malcolm from Bespoke Home Cinema, again, who has changed the future of Together for Cinema. And then there's a friend of mine out of industry, a chap called Dave Parrott, who lives locally. Who's the other director. So there's 4 of us as the directors. But that fundraising that Chris did was instrumental in changing my perception of Together for Cinema. Yeah. I think the industry's perception, certainly, the exposure for what Chris did was incredible. Yeah. And we now have another fundraiser. We had a couple of guys who cycled to Austria and back for us, Tom Delicampagni and a chap called James Carter. James is out of industry, but Tom people might know. We had Matt McClernand and Greg Stuttle doing London to Brighton with me, which I found quite challenging last year, but we're doing it again this year. So a little plug for what we're doing this year. We've so far got 12 people. We're on September the 15th, Sunday, September the 15th this year, we'll ride London to Brighton again with all of our Together for Cinema shirts on. We've got 12. I'm hoping for 20. I suspect we may get more. And to try and raise 10,000 for Together for Cinema. Now we are a community interest company. Any monies we raise is protected. So it goes into the Together for Cinema pot to make a difference. Yeah. Now we need, any business needs a surplus. So we do have a little surplus that rolls year on year. And if that surplus gets bigger and bigger, then fantastic. Yeah. It ultimately goes towards the end result. Doesn't go as a director's bonus, rest assured, it's all protected. That's and we have a legal obligation now with CIC. So I'm very comfortable earning, going on a little fundraising. But the exposure from any fundraising is brilliant. London to Brighton, 25 people cycling it. amazing. If we can get to that, great exposure.
I personally think that Chris, caused us all a big problem, because now the moment you kind of go, oh, I'm going to run a marathon, and they go, okay, well, what are you going to do next? What do you do after the marathon? Are you picking who are you taking on your back with you? After the marathon, are you going to then row the Atlantic or something?
Well, I've spoken to Chris, and I'm not obliged to say anything, but he's talking about something.
Oh, is he even bigger?
Oh, he's bonkers. He's absolutely, he's so lovely. And when he finished, when he flew back into Gatwick after the Marathon des Sables, we embraced and I had tears in my eyes. It was like my son had come home.
Yeah, I bet.
Bless him. And now he's talking about something else. I mean, even now I get a bit emotional, because I think, really, you want to do that together for cinema? He's an incredibly driven young man, and his business is successful.
Well, let's use this as an opportunity to put a call out to the industry to see whether or not we can all come up with some new ideas. It doesn't have to be Chris level, we'll call it that from now on. It doesn't have to be Chris level, but come up with ways. It could be a cinema night at Pulse, sponsoring the chairs to come and watch a movie. It could be anything, right? It could be a walk around the block, but we could all do something.
Everybody could do something, but as I say, I think I'm very conscious not to be seen to be a fundraising machine, because I've got to spend my time making these rooms happen.
Yeah, of course.
Ultimately.
Yeah.
But organising a London to Brighton cycle ride isn't too hard. There's a few emails, a little bit of nudging, and so on. But I think if we were doing like 5 or 6 fundraising events every year, it's really time consuming.
Yeah. But for individuals,
absolutely
could go off and do whatever they wanted,
something.
Right?
Send me a check. Brilliant.
Exactly.
No problem.
Exactly.
I can accept those.
Love that.
And that would be great. But I think it's I'm very conscious that my time, because it's only me full time, is best spent making these rooms happen.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I literally, every time I get together with you, could sit and chat to you for hours.
I know.
But according to people that know about podcasts, there's a certain time that you should run for.
Is that 40 minutes?
Well, and it's not actually. It's more like about 20, 25 minutes. And what are we at? 28. See, I had a feeling. I had a feeling that we were getting close.
Yeah,
but maybe you can come back again later in the year. Tell us about what's happened, about what Chris did actually, and what we've all managed to do to raise some more money. But well done, Ian. I'm really proud to be your friend. I've known you for a long time,
and likewise, you're
one of the good guys, buddy.
Same with you.
Really enjoy being around you, and really enjoy knowing you. So,
and likewise. Thank you, Mike.
Thanks, Ian.
Appreciate it.